Number 1.
That to talk about a country, especially its economy, we can use the analogy of a human body. It is said by many experts that the economy of a country is like a human body. It's a system with many subsystems, each subsystem vital to the health of the body. And if we take care of the body, we maintain the body, we manage the body, we have a good lifestyle, we do not practice unhealthy.
Number 2.
There are several things that the P20 can do to alleviate the social burden and create jobs. First, to accelerate the speed of pandemic recovery and the rate of global vaccination. Health response is the key to recovery. In Indonesia, our vaccination rate has achieved more than 150 million administered doses. We expect to achieve 70% of our first dose target before the end of 2021. Second, to drive strong and balanced economic growth in different regions. Positive economic growth will reopen jobs and in turn reduce the rate of unemployment. Allow me reiterate that only with global solidarity that we can together end the pandemic and resolve the social and employment crisis. Thank you.
Number 3.
Maybe my staff can follow with your staff.
Yes.
And then we can decide about the technical trainers, for the teacher and some of the student. And then after this, we can send some of student or teacher go to the Australia. And then we come back and develop a new system, I think, for the some of school in Central Java.
Yep.
So I want to learn from their experiences in Australia. The relation between the school and industry.
Exactly.
I hear
Yes.
from Australia and
Yeah.
German that you have what you call
We call it a dual education system.
dual education system, and you have something like a teaching industry, something like this.
Yes.
Number 4.
Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Agus Harimurti Yudhoyono. I am the chairman of Indonesia's Democratic Party. We have more than 10 million constituents spreading across 3 time zones, from Aceh to Papua. First of all, I would like to thank the Progressive International for giving me this opportunity to talk about the current situation of COVID-19 in Indonesia. Like any other countries, Indonesia has been struggling in dealing with COVID-19 pandemic. Various government policies and measures have been implemented in order to control the spread of the virus and to significantly reduce the fatality rate. Up to date, more than 1.9 million people have been confirmed positive. More than 53,000 deaths have been recorded. While nationwide vaccine rollouts are currently on progress, there are still 116,000 active cases. COVID-19 has not only affected public health, but also produced severe social economic implications. We are suffering from a year-long economic recession, as well as the rising number of unemployment, poverty, and inequality. Our businesses, especially our micro, small, and medium enterprises, are experiencing the hardest hit. The quality of our education is also impacted, particularly for those who do not have the privilege to internet access and digital devices as the primary requirements for long-distance educational system.
Number 5.
It's the city government has a duty to provide a livable living environment for its residents, and this includes addressing climate change impact by making efforts to reduce cities' carbon emissions. Cities globally have done so by putting in place commitments and resources in establishing climate action plan and delivering actions in transportation strategies, building codes, promoting clean energy, and many, many more. So ladies and gentlemen, cities across the globe are taking bold actions. So is Jakarta. Jakarta commits to be a climate resilient city, and at the moment, Jakarta is moving from car-oriented development to transit-oriented development. And Jakarta is leading in sustainable transportation and mobility transportations, and we would like to continue even further. So in these occasions, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to propose the assistance that cities needs from the UN. The UN may have a big role for supporting cities across the globe. First of all, the UN could encourage countries to acknowledge the achievements of climate actions at the city level, and that need to be calculated as part of national determined contributions of climate actions. Secondly, within the United Nations capacity, the organizations could lend a hand to foster vertical and horizontal integrations at actions and at policy levels. Lastly, toward the COP26, the United Nations could also support countries to develop comprehensive architecture and financing structure to translate the benefit that are obtained by national government in the global forum to be executed at the local level. Thank you very much.
Number 6.
Pack my bag and go back to Indonesia. And because it was such a bad economic conditions in Jakarta and throughout Asia that I didn't even want to bother to send an application letter to look for jobs. I was worried that if I send 10 letter of applications for jobs, I would receive 15 or 20 rejections. It was that bad, the economy. But actually that was the time that by default, by accident, that I became an entrepreneur. I started a small consulting firm. Basically, a lot of companies needs to restructure their balance sheet. A lot of US dollar debt, US dollar commitment, it needs to be restructured. I went in and because of my knowledge in finance, I was able to land some of the restructuring in the early days. It was hard. It was definitely very hard for a 27, 28-year-old consultant landing jobs within the Indonesian big firms. But thank God I managed to be able to get few good clients, and long story short, the consulting firm become an investment consulting firm, and then we raised some fund to start making investments, and before we realized, we grew from one company to 28 companies, and this year I just got a report that the companies that we started around 20 years ago is now employing around 30,000 workers in Indonesia.
Number 7.
The stress and lower the rate of suicide, for example. And when I told that, the Lord Mayor of Melbourne looks very interested. I think, in my opinion, the happiness is becoming the new theory in building the society. It's not always about, becoming developed and rich, but also how happy you are. Because I learned in many developed countries, the issue of mental health problem is really become a big issue because of the stress coming from the lifestyle. So I don't want Bandung to fall to that issue. That's why I'm creating this happiness project. It works quite well.
Could you also explain the importance of the digital economy and how you think it will change? You've seen change in Bandung, how it will change a province like West Java?
Yes, Bandung is very urban, so I have no difficulties to connect the digital economy to my people. Every year we have 20 million transactions in online business, so it's a big in Bandung because it's very urbanized. But when it comes to West Java, half of the population is not really connected to internet. So my vision, number one as a governor, is to use what Bandung's success to be applied to urban area that within my jurisdiction, but for the rural that will be a challenge. How I can use the digital technology, for example, to educate my farmers, to bring them to this level that they can understand the online business. They can receive order online for the vegetables to be sold to the online, for example. This kind of questions really become my challenge. So I think the Bandung model only can be applied for half of West Java. The remaining half will be rural. So I need. That's why in this morning I went to some startups building. They produce agriculture tech quite nicely. So we would like to challenge them also whether they can have some apps for my agriculture and rural technology. For example, can you have a technology for my fishermen to locate fish by using satellite map, for example? That would be very helpful to my fishery industry. So we don't have that technology.